Welcome to part 2 of this series around the 10-year anniversary of the sidelining of the expanded universe that occurred on the 25th of April 2014. So today I want to talk about where the expanded universe fandom sits right now, like its current state. I did my journey, I did cover some of the overall stuff in the video yesterday, but today I want to talk about where we are now. To start with, we're still split. There's pockets of EU fans in different places, and there are cliques. I am not going to ignore that there are cliques of certain, even in the YouTube world, of what I'm doing, what people in the US are doing, like Matt Wilkins, Chris Nelson, a bunch of the people from Twin Suns, and so on and so forth. There are cliques even able to be seen and that occur naturally as some parts, because of course the time zones are an issue between here in Australia and the US, and so that creates a little bit of a divide anyway. There are cliques because of that, and there are cliques just because of different opinions. And so a lot of the drama could split parts of the fandom before, now keep them split, or stuff is settled and people are in their cliques now. I feel like 10 years on, things have settled in the expanded universe fandom for good or bad. So there is always the talk of getting the expanded universe continued. And we have a couple of examples here. So we have Heart of the Jedi that had a fan printing on Amazon. This is the Amazon version. That was a manuscript that's been slightly edited to adjust for dates, although it would have been nice to just have the original one. And I haven't read it. I haven't read either of these yet, by the way. I want to read the expanded universe and then read the stuff that may not apply to it. We've got Heart of the Jedi, which is as close to its original approved manuscript as possible, while adjusting the dates to fit in the timeline a little bit better. And so we have some things like this, where you would be able to get Heart of the Jedi, and possibly, if they ever decided to share Escape from Dagu and that sort of stuff, would be good. But my main point today is the general trend seems to be that we are not going to be trusting Lucasfilm to continue the expanded universe. Firstly, because they won't do it at all, based on our previous experience over the past 10 years. Secondly, because a lot of people look at what the new canon is doing and how it allegedly, because I've only heard this secondhand, contradicts itself, even though it's supposed to be a single continuity and all of that. Writers and things putting things in the new canon that are things that we go, well, we don't want that to happen in the expanded universe. Certain modern writing things that people take issue with. Overall, it's a thing of, do we trust Lucasfilm to continue the EU well, if they do it all? We only really need to look at some examples of what they've done previously, like with Marvel 108, to make a decision on whether you personally would trust them. I don't think I would in its current state. I think where my brain's at the moment, the EU fandom would need to see something huge to be able to really believe that they are trustworthy to do it. And if they did do a continuation, enough people would buy it, and if it's good, the word of mouth would gain some rapport and all that. But then things would continue on with how much are they going to keep continuity, what kinds of decisions are they going to make with the timeline that we may or may not agree with, based on where we think it was heading before, based on what people have said and all of that. And in that search for more expanded universe, how much do we compromise on our own values of what we would consider as counting towards the expanded universe? I have Exhibit A. Supernatural Encounters. Big Chonker's book, which adds a lot to the lore. Allegedly. I am waiting to read these, but also I want to give the question of how much do we compromise on our own values of what do we want to count towards the expanded universe with virtually fan fiction. I mean, an earlier version of Supernatural Encounters was looking to be approved and officially licensed by Lucasfilm. Yet as far as I can find, it didn't go through the editorial process fully. And it's not like Heart of the Jedi here, where we just went, oh, there was a mix-up, it got cancelled, but it was virtually done. And I have an older version of Supernatural Encounters as a digital file. That's what, only about 200 to 300 pages. The older version of Supernatural Encounters that I have is 283 pages on Word. I think the actual story ended at 280 pages. Which would have been a lot closer to the version that may have been approved by Lucasfilm. As far as I can tell, and I don't know what's exactly changed in it and added other than hearing one or two things, that's what the state of it was. Whereas this chonker, and I did donate towards getting a copy of this because there was also the big fan effort that a lot of people got behind. I'm like, well, I'm not giving money to current Lucasfilm, so I'm going to give some money to this. So Appendix C is 980 pages. The end of the epilogue is on page 936 of Supernatural Encounters, and I've seen that some other EU fans on YouTube have gone for hours and hours talking about this thing. It's massive. But I'm going to leave it up to you to think, how much do you want to compromise on what officially would have been approved by Lucasfilm before 2014, or before the sidelining of the EU, for the search for more expanded universe content. Personally, if there are similar initiatives, I would probably not back them. Personally. Because there's so many books already in the expanded universe that they'll last me for years. They have been lasting me for 10 years and more so far. And then by the time I get back around to the start, I'll be not remembering all the details anyway. But what fans would write as an officially printed book doesn't have like a unified board to be able to all agree on the same direction for the expanded universe. I think that's the biggest thing for me when I was considering about continuing the EU through fan fiction, was, are we unified enough to be able to all agree enough on a direction that it should go in, or do we trust a certain group of people? Are we unified enough to trust this group of people with the direction that the lore should be going in? And that's something that we all have to decide ourselves, but I don't believe that we do. But 10 years, where we are now, we're in our little pockets of areas, and I'm doing my own thing, and I just feel like, personally, I'll still really keep reading the EU and enjoying it. But I'm moving on. I think it's time. The expanded universe is an amazing example of a cohesive continuity over multiple authors and writers. And with a good system that I would look to as an example if I'm ever doing something similar. But I don't believe that it's going to be continued in a meaningful way by Lucasfilm. And I don't believe that a fully fanfiction type continuation like Supernatural Encounters seems to be to me is something that I can really get behind. The original version, the older version, will be cool as a historical document. That's how I see Heart of the Jedi. Like, okay, it's not officially canon to the expanded universe, but it's interesting as a historical item to go, oh, this was a story that was cancelled because of a mix-up. That's the only reason, not because, oh, they didn't approve it because it clashed too much or another reason. It was because of a mix-up. And so, the EU fandom, I see videos put up on YouTube. I hardly see the EU fandom otherwise. Facebook groups, mostly not interacting or complaining about new canon, even if it's an EU group and you post something on there. Just enjoy it yourself. And I think at this time, the people that are hanging around in the groups and whatever are like, yeah, cool, that's a side thing. A lot of people have already moved on to other franchises or things that they like, or life in general. And even from near the start of the sidelining of the EU, there were people that they like reading the EU and stuff, but they're not that hardcore into it, like to join the fandom and all that. So they would just be carrying on with their life and going, well, I like these books, but I don't feel strongly enough about it to do anything about wanting more of the EU. I think the biggest issue right now with the fandom is still sort of the misinformation that is spread around of it was never canon, George Lucas never cared about it, and all of that sort of thing is still like fighting misinformation is the biggest thing, because for preservation people need to have the correct information, and it is there. And that's why I made my website where you have the links, you have a picture of it, you have proof to be able to go, yep, back and forth. And then you have people that are just spreading misinformation, which isn't very good. But yeah, I'm at the point where I'll keep playing Star Wars games, I'll keep doing stuff for the channel, but I'm moving on. And of course you can see I started putting other games on my channel from my streams and things on Twitch. And I haven't felt like I care about a continuation for ages now. Not in a true, like, writing a comic or a novel sense. So yeah, I think that will be where we're sitting now. At least I'm not as hooked into the fandom, so let me know if I'm wrong. But even other YouTubers and things have been going, LegendsCon was really cool, I wish I could go, but it's open in the US again. And it's like, well, I'm here in Australia, I'd have to travel all the way over there. Apparently there's going to be another one. That will be really cool. You have something for EU fans each time. It's just a thing of, even other people have gone, let's just enjoy it and talk about it and not try and go, we need to continue it, woo, and all of that. So I think that does it for this part. Give me your thoughts. Let me know if I'm wrong about the fandom at the moment, because there's either I see people arguing on social media, or people are just pretty quiet. Yes, we'll comment on this and this a little bit in the EU. It was cool. Let's enjoy the EU, of course. Not wanting to stop enjoying the EU. Keep that going. What's happened to Star Wars is a symptom of larger issues in the entertainment industry. that's how it goes. And I really believe, like, I'm an EU fan. I'm not a fan of the new canon. Nothing against you if you like the new canon, of course. But I just think the best thing to do would be for Star Wars to fade away, and then someone picks it up and goes, hey, this EU thing was really cool, let's continue that. That's where I'm at the moment. Moving on, I think what I'm finding more joy in exploring other franchises a bit too, not just hyper focusing on Star Wars EU. And we'll see where that goes. So yeah. Let me know of your point of views on what you would actually accept officially, because these are unofficial printings, so technically by my own mind they're not really counting towards the continuity of the EU, but especially like Heart of the Jedi is a cool historical thing to have printed and have a copy of. And let me know if you do still feel like an EU continuation is in the works, like if you have hope for it. I would like to hear points of view on that. We would have to continue the EU in our own way, and so on and so forth. That will be part 2 of this 3-part series around the 10th anniversary of the sidelining of the Star Wars expansion.